say that again? I'm on. Good. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just talking about solutions. Anybody agree the whole world is looking for solutions to problems or their problems? And in looking at that, we're starting a new year. So really, theoretically, we should be looking at what can we do to build who we really are in the new year. So I thought we'd spend a couple weeks looking at solutions. And one of the solutions people are looking for is, how do I live a lifestyle and have fun in life and also be productive and happy and have good relationships and be loved and have enough money to get through the day and be healthy. So it's very interesting. And all the world's out there doing all kinds of stuff. And everybody's got all kinds of stories about the best way. And if your way isn't exactly the same as my way, you're wrong and I'm right. And so there's got to be solutions. We're dealing with amazing, amazing issues in the world today. We can't even get together politically. And we've got racial issues that haven't been put to bed yet. We've got gender issues. We've got all this stuff bubbling up. And why is it bubbling up? Because it needs to be fixed, or it needs to be addressed and looked at. And part of that looking at is letting go of my firmly held beliefs and maybe opening to a new possibility. Because possibility is what drives things if we understand that. Now, there's, I've really been looking at the words of Jesus, the words of Paul, and if you really look at it, a lot of these keys to this solutions are in the Bible. They're also in scriptures of the world, in the Quran, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the different scriptures, and in those phrases, there's ideas that maybe we should look at as solutions. Okay, so I thought I'd bring that in today, and just look at it. And in looking at it, what are we looking for? What are we looking toward? And where are we going? Okay, and what are the outcomes? Anybody agree that everybody has theories, but the only theories that work are the ones that produce outcomes that keep me happy? So it's like, I don't know how many times I've tried something new, but if we continue to do the way we've done things in the past, things are going to turn out exactly the same way in the past as they will in the future. So way to solve problems is let go of the beliefs and everything we've been dealing with, start over again from a new beginning. So there's some interesting ideas in the scientific community and in the spiritual community, believe it or not, they're starting to come together. There's this thing called subtle energies, or energies that are beyond normal awareness. We can see light, we can hear sound, we can see each other, okay? But we know there are energies beyond that. Anybody familiar with dogs? Hear things we don't hear? Okay, so if you got a dog whistle, the dog can hear it, but we can't. So maybe there's other energies in the universe that we're not aware of, and just because we don't see them or hear them or feel them, we think they don't exist. So we go merrily on our own way, just doing what we think is best because that's what we've been trained to do. Now, last week we were talking about God and the idea of a supreme being or divinity. And the problem is, from what I can tell, that because this thing we call God is touchless, senseless, we can't touch it, we can't feel it, we can't see it, we can't make a connection to it, there's no neural structures to create an understanding of energies beyond my understanding. And so when we grow up looking and seeing and feeling and hearing, and we create neural structures that continue the patterns we're familiar with. Anybody ever notice that you continue to do the same thing the same way day after day after day? It's like recently I've been looking at the clothes I wear, okay? And when I grew up, my father would not allow me to wear a t-shirt. Okay, I had to wear a shirt with a collar. Okay, now I don't know if anybody else had that, but I'm still in that mode. So Madam just bought me 3 t-shirts I'm gonna wear. But it's interesting, it really is, because we are bound by these beliefs. And how many of us have religious beliefs that were put there by our parents, by the environment around us? How many of us are living out of political belief because that's what you grew up with, or your emotions are saying this is the way it should be, rather than backing off and looking at what is the divine way of doing something? So that's what we're going to take a look at today. And some of it is letting go of firm beliefs and looking at possibilities. Now, what's interesting is if you look at possibilities, anytime you make a decision, the possibilities change. So it's like me wearing a t-shirt, would you agree the possibilities are going to change? Or if I decide to go to McDonald's, the possibilities for lunch are different than if I decide to go to Chili's. So every time I make a decision, the possibilities are changing in my life and in my affairs. And I don't think about that because I just merely go through life making decisions, accepting what happens because that's the way it is. And if I grew up with this and that and the other thing, if things happen the way they always happen, I'm comfortable because that's what I see and hear. But if I want to change my abundance, my money, if I want to change how I'm loved and appreciated, if I want to change how people interact with me, if I want to change how I interact in the world even, would you agree I might have to look at something differently? And one of the issues of this is, the law of attraction says, whatever you want, you have to do or think those things. So if I want to be loved, what must I do? I must love. And the world has not taught us that. So how do we get over relationship problems? We love. Why? Because that's the law. So we keep making up our own laws thinking, well, somebody should love me, okay? But yet, I'm not loving, so it makes no sense. So if you take a look at that and realize that, how in the world can I maintain a relationship if I'm a grouchy old jerk? Or how can I maintain a marital relationship over a period of years if I don't know how to get along with somebody else? Or if I don't know how to give up once in a while? Anybody familiar with being stubborn? Okay.
Oh, no.
And how do we learn? The way we learn is mess it up, make mistakes, and then say, oh. And then I make new choices, and I change the outcomes. I change the possibilities. Now, there are things called subtle energies. Scientists will tell you in the quantum physics areas, there are energies that they don't know, they don't understand. Okay? And yet, we talk about love, we talk about these subtle energies, and we know they're there. And the question is, if they're there, how do I access them and use them for my lifestyle and to make things work? And that's where I want to bring some of the ideas of the spiritual world in on this idea, how do I affect the energies that are there in the universe happening? Now, science knows that each of us is radiating energies. In other words, if you take pictures, they talk about the aura around us. HeartMath Institute has measured out the 8-foot energies around us. So we know that we are, you ready? We are radiating and receiving energy entities. So we radiate energies and we take energies in. And we know that when you think, you create energies. Everybody there?
Yeah.
And it's, well, it's, you know, we don't need to go into proof on that, but the idea behind it is, for centuries, spiritual teachers have talked about the radiation of love, the radiation of appreciation, the radiation of gratitude. Well, guess what? Those energies are also there on the dark side. So it's my choice which of those energies I get involved in. Now, if I grew up in a household where they have taught me prejudice, and I don't like a certain type of folks, what kind of energies are going out into the universe? And what do I get back in my life? Because if I'm radiating dislike or hate, what do I get back? See, it's a law. That which I radiate is what I get. I hook into the subtle energies that are everywhere present, and that energies then I'm attracted those things to me. Everybody ever heard of the phrase "birds of a feather flock together"? Mm-hmm. It's amazing to me. It really is. You ever notice? You go to a party and all the people that dress alike are all together in a corner, okay? And so how do we make the changes? We must make the choice. So I'm saying we have new choices to make. And the choices are, what am I going to build? Now, I've been working in the course of love. By the way, 3 or 4 of us in the room are involved in the course of love. And I'm finding it amazing work. It's literally changing things. I see it, it's going to take over the spiritual community. That's personal. But in day 6 of the 40 days and 40 nights, it talks about, the metaphor is working on our lives like an artist. Okay? Now I'm not an artist, or at least I don't paint very well. I can paint walls, but if you ask me to sketch, you should see my stick figures. Okay? But I know an artist is going to make a painting. They have to have an idea. Okay? And generally that's called inspiration. Now, where does inspiration come from? See, the word inspiration is from inspire, which means spirit within. So we are connected to those subtle energies. Okay, if you want to call it divinity, that's fine. You could call it God, Allah, whatever you choose. And that's your choice. Again, another choice. Okay? But that's where the inspiration starts. But then, in order to bring that inspiration into form, I need to make decisions. You ready? If I'm an artist and I'm going to paint a portrait, I have to decide what medium I'm going to use. Am I going to use oils, or am I going to use watercolor? Am I going to use pastels? Some of you artists, what else can you do? I can use ceramics, what? Acrylics. So I got all these choices. And then I have to decide, okay, what kind of thing am I going to paint this on? I can paint it on canvas. I can paint it on wood. I can paint it on tiles. I can paint it on anything I choose. I can do what?
Face.
A face? Yeah, that's great. Body art, that's right. I forgot about that. But see, we have all these choices. And then I have to decide what kind of brush am I going to use? Am I going to use a finger painting, or am I going to use brushes? Or am I going to, I can use spatulas. Okay? And so there's all these choices we have to make. Okay? Now, once I made all those choices, I'm ready to start. Do I just throw paint at the art, at whatever panel I'm using, and I have a portrait? No. I have to very carefully, day after day, craft, and I put something down. And sometimes artists I know don't like that, so you paint it over, yes? So it's like, oh, changed my mind. But an artist makes choices every day, one point at a time, on purpose, until they get the form that they wanted. And when it's finished, even then, the only way to share it with people is with trepidation, because this is part of me. And how much time do we spend in crafting our life? Do you see the metaphor? A composer spends hours and will just literally run notes, and they've got an idea in their mind, and then they write the notes out, and then they try the piano, and then they try it, and then they make, there's all this preparation time, all these choices, all these daily chores that are occurred to bring this thing into formation. And then we look at life and say, well, I just have to take whatever comes my way. Because, you know, I was born in Philadelphia, and people from I was, by the way. And people from Philadelphia, you know them, they are blankety blank, 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 blank. Okay, and I have to put up with that. It's not true. It's absolutely not true. Okay, so the idea behind it is, what kind of life are we crafting? Now, in the spiritual path, a couple keys. One of those keys is, Jesus said, and it's said in a lot of places, the kingdom of heaven is within. So the kingdom of everything that we want, and everything that we could ever aspire to, is already in you. And that's in other scriptures, not just Bible, but it's in the scripture that says, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Okay? So what does that mean? You already got what you want. You don't believe it. That's the problem. So it's relearning the choices that I make to redo who I am. Okay, so what kind of choices have we made over the years? My choices were, I grew up, I was always heavy. Anybody familiar with the fat tubby kind? And so that's just what's true. Okay, so I lived my life that way. And again, we are stereotyping ourselves into a pattern because that's, and we don't think we have choices, so we can change the choices, but it takes daily work to get there. Anybody here been through martial arts? Everybody? How are you? Good.
There.
Good, huh? Yeah, okay. Yeah, our family, we went through martial arts training, Taekwondo, and it takes time. It's day after day after day of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And some of it is just doing boom, ending a punch right there. So that you can get to the point where you can stop a punch within a half an inch of where it should be. Or know how to tear it through so you break a board. And that's nothing more than learning a skill one day at a time until you're good at it. And then once you're good at it, you've got the automatic reflex. A great musician, how long does it take them to learn to be a musician? Okay? And yet we think that life happens automatically for us. So the reason I'm doing this is, let's start over again and rebuild a life that makes a difference. A life that has no opinions. I know that's a tough one, everybody got it? That means you need to give up Mr. Trump and Mrs. Pelosi and everybody. Yes?
So it's really interesting because, in Richard Rohr's book, Everything Belongs, he talks about preferences.
Yes.
And those things that we're really, really tied to are really nothing more than preferences.
Yeah.
And one of the instructions is when you let go of ego and you're really willing to look at what your opinions are,
Yeah.
and understand that your opinions are preferences.
Opinions. You hear that word?
And then understand, are those healthy preferences or are they unhealthy preferences? Are they helping you to build a life of
Productive or
love?
non-productive?
And so those staunch beliefs we have
Yep.
are oftentimes nothing more than preferences.
And I'm aware of some of those beliefs, the things that have been standing in my way. Okay? In other words, when you reach a certain age, you shouldn't be doing such and such. Or if you're a female, you shouldn't do that. Or because I'm a male, I should be this way. See, we have all these stories. And we have allowed other people to give us the stories we're playing out. Stop and think about it. So where do we begin? How do we start over again? And in the beginning, the reason I'm getting to here is, I believe one of the first steps is gratitude. You ready? Because that means I have to be thankful for everything in my life. Okay? The people that have created problems for me, anybody had people that didn't like you? You ever had somebody tell you you're no good? Gee, I wish you didn't have, no, I'm not going there. But, those are people that gave me lessons on things I needed to do. But at the time, all I did was fight back, which created what? More of what I didn't want. So, and in the political situation right now, folks were beating each other up, creating more problems because we're beating each other up. And do you get it? None of it works anyway. There's got to be a point where we are. Okay, my heart goes out. I've got neighbors. Those of you been to our house, we live in a townhouse. And the townhouses are very close to each other. Okay, and we got a mixed neighborhood. It's really great. We got, you talk about different nationalities and racial backgrounds. I love it. And yet, people are hesitant to interact. It's like I say hello, and they run. Because they're not used to this guy. Okay, it's fascinating to me. It really is. And I will tell you, the next door neighbor, I've been trying to get next to him, and he's a little bit too forward. But the only way, see, if I want to be loved, I must love. If I want to be wealthy, I must share wealth. If I want to be happy, I must share happiness. happiness. And all this anger and upset, we need to let it go. Now, I know I'm being Pollyanna, but what kind of life do we want to craft? And together, where are we going? What are we doing? How are we going to get there? And I really believe gratitude is the first step. Because if I'm really happy and I'm feeling good about things, then I'm creating good in my life and other people's lives. Now, we're unity, so I've got to talk to Charles about Charles Fillmore. Because I admit, going back to basics again, matter of fact, I was following with Valerie or something, and I pulled out all the Charles Fillmore books. And I went through all of them, okay? But this one, Teach Us to Pray, and I just happened to run into an idea, and let me see if I can find it. Well, Christian metaphysicians, or spiritual people, find that words that express thanks, gratitude, and praise release energies of mind and spirit. And their use is usually followed by effects so pronounced that they are quickly identified with the originating words. So, have you ever taken a day and just decided to praise everybody all day? It'd be interesting to try it. It really would be. But yet, in our everyday word, you understand that we are trained to criticize, condemn, and complain. We are. You know, I don't like the way he wears his tie. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff I've had people share with me. I wish you'd talk about this. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about spiritual things. Does everybody understand? There are people traveling thousands of miles and spending thousands of dollars to be in a hallowed place. Now, where is the hallowed place really? The kingdom of heaven is where? Within. So it's working on myself rather than spending that time to go there. I don't know, some of you have been in seminars forever. I kept going to seminars hoping somebody would give me the answer. Yes? Mm-hmm. We have belonged to, you talk about the organizations we belong to, because maybe they have the secret. Mm-hmm. And so we all keep looking for the secret out there, and the secret is the kingdom of heaven is within. And Jesus said, anytime you have a problem, go inside your closet, close the door, and leave the world behind. So we've got some keys here. So number one, stop looking outside, start looking inside. Number two, get quiet once in a while, shut up, and listen to yourself rather than everybody else. And see, we are willing to take the authority of others rather than the authority of ourselves within. So I'm thankful for you because you keep giving me lessons, okay? Okay, so anyway, I'm going to keep reading. You ready? I'm going over here. I got more to read. Okay? We make our soul, this really caught me. Matter of fact, I came down and had to share this with Madeline. We make our soul out of the thoughts and words we entertain. I'm going to say that again. Would you agree everybody's looking for the soul? What is my soul? Am I happy? Am I joyful? So we make our soul out of the thoughts and words we entertain. So again, what words are we entertaining? What thoughts are we entertaining? And we make our soul. So we're attracting the subtle energies of God or the subtle energies of the darkness by our thoughts and words. Consequently, we should be very careful in choosing our words because they are the means by which we convey spirit to character and its structure. So our character becomes what we've spoken in the past. And what have we spoken? Who have we loved? Who have we condemned? Okay? And that scares me when I get involved in the political situation. And I'm sorry to keep putting the political situation in, but that's what's present right now. I mean, really big time, yes? So, and then it goes on, so praise and blessing are words freely used by those who love spiritual values. So, because these words are heavily charged with capacity to express creative mind. In themselves alone, the words praise and bless are potent for good because they are associated with ideas of good. Then it goes on and says, these words are not found in the vocabulary of the pessimist, the negativist, and the atheist. Agree? I mean, it's really clear. So what's the key? if you take a look, just to do a quick summary of the New Testament, Paul talked about in the 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians that love is the only thing that matters. You know, in other words, he uses the word tinkling cymbal. Okay, so we're just a little ring and all this stuff. But the big thing is love. And how are we expressing love? The only way to express love is through praise and appreciation. So the word gratitude is a huge word. Now, anybody familiar with Oprah?
Mm-hmm.
One of her great teachings is to write down every day 10 things you're thankful for. Simple little process, but yet I think she's done well in life. Are some of you familiar with her background? Now she teaches these ideas. She's part of a church like this in California. And the only thing, as far as I know, I could be wrong, but that's what I understand. So the idea behind it is figure out ways. Now, let's get back to the artist. The artist has to consciously choose brushes, paint, okay, medium, what they're going to artist on. Is that correct verb? They're going to paint on. And so what are we doing daily? See, the idea is it doesn't happen once in a while. It doesn't happen coming down Sunday morning, sitting there and feeling, wow, he did a good job. Well, I didn't like what Robert said today. It's okay, because this is just part of it. The daily stuff is what takes place. That's when you're crafting who you are, okay? And you're crafting this entity through what you speak. And speaking gratitude and love and appreciation is what crafts you in a position. Now, it's easy. I can find easy ways to criticize, condemn, or complain. Okay? And here I am again, the 3 C's. And I talk about it a lot, but I'm really aware. And I slip into it. Believe me, I do. It's easy. Anybody familiar with fixing others? We can always fix somebody. Well, they should do it this way. Well, how do I know? You know, Jesus talked about, you know, how do you know unless you walk in somebody else's shoes? And you don't know. I worked with a man for 30 years ago, a real motivational guy. And he said, one of the things he said was, I have to compete with your neighbors and friends who have controlled your mind. Fascinating idea. And your family, by the way, we should add that in there. So if I'm going to start over again in this year, I'm going to start looking at how many times a day do I spend in the quiet, how many, if you will, how many affirmations or how much reading am I going to do? Am I reading good books or am I reading junk? Am I speaking words of praise and appreciation and gratitude, or am I criticizing, condemning, or complaining? My difficulty is turning the TV off, okay? Because do I really need to take it in 24 hours a day? No, I don't. But you know, when I get up in the morning, I turn the TV on to find out what's happening. Okay, and I get full of it. Okay? And I get right into it. So do I need to do that? So it's a daily work. And here we're building a spiritual community. And this spiritual community, it's growing, things are happening, things are going on. We're getting close to building that building down there. And how do I know that? I just know it. Anybody familiar with just knowing? Mm-hmm. Okay? Again, the course of love says it's time to stop learning, because there isn't anything to learn, the only thing there is to know. And knowing is what Spirit wants us to do. So Spirit, I know Spirit wants me to be thankful, to be grateful, and I really appreciate you, and I appreciate the group, and I appreciate the love that's here. I really do. So I don't think there's anything else to say other than let's start a daily process of recrafting and becoming that individual we're really meant to be, which is a loving, appreciative, powerful human being making a difference for the world. Blessings. Yeah.